So hi guys, it's Tamara. Let's go ahead and jump into our next video, which is a conversation on jealousy. And we're not just talking about the typical jealousy, we're talking about toxic jealousy. And this kind of jealousy creates trouble in relationships and perpetuates no matter what. It's the kind of jealousy that destroys, it discourages. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today in this video. I'm going to give you some tips on how to deal with it, even if the person is psychotic, which is the topic we're going to talk more about next week. We're going to start that topic on Wednesday. So I want to give you some tips regarding how to manage these people. They're very hard to deal with. So let's just go ahead and jump right on in, okay guys? So the benefits for you today in this video is that we're just going to talk about tips of how to manage a jealous person, and then we're going to jump into the therapeutic way of managing a jealous person who's toxic and possibly even psychotic. But for the purposes of this video, we're just going to focus on some basic ways to deal with an envious and jealous-hearted toxic person. Toxic's the key word for us. Okay, so tip number one, and I always give this tip, it sounds so basic, it sounds, so laid back and just like common, but there's some true benefit to this. And so the first tip is, I'm gonna put it over here, move along. When you find somebody is not on your side and they are coming against you in some fashion, even if it is a little bit of jealousy, even if it is a little bit of envy, it can grow, it can get worse. I always suggest to my clients to move along. Don't try to make that situation work. For the most part, it's not going to work because the jealous person is not going to let it work. It's going to be an issue no matter what. They are going to treat you in a certain way because they have something on the inside of themselves that they need to deal with. So move along. My next tip is to obviously ignore them. You have to. Ignoring people is a power play, but it's also an emotional and psychological awakening for you, because what you're saying to yourself is, I'm not getting on that level. I refuse to get on that level with you. Until you get the help that you need, I'm going to ignore you. And that might mean ignore your phone calls. It might mean ignore your text messages. It might mean ignore your emails. It might mean say a nice hello and keep walking, right? Ignore them. It's powerful. The next one is avoid confrontation. What's the number one thing that you would think a jealous person or a toxic, envious person would want? What would you guess? They want your control. They want your power. They want whatever makes you who you are. And so if you can avoid confrontation with them, you are avoiding giving away your power. You're handing them your power when you engage in confrontation. They also want to see you play yourself out of character. They want to see you be somebody that you're not, because it makes them feel better about wanting to be you. So avoid confrontation. The next one is avoid feeling indebted or responsible for them. Don't feel indebted to them and don't feel responsible for them. They're responsible for themselves. The moment you start to feel indebted to them is the moment you become almost like their slave, because you want to make things work. You want to, make the relationship a positive, balanced one. But if they're not working with you, don't go that extra mile with them. It's not worth it. The next one is reassess your boundaries. And that might mean making statements to reassess your boundaries. It might mean clearly drawing that line in the sand, right? That line in the sand of you're not coming this far. That might mean reassessing your boundaries with how you communicate. Maybe you don't email and text anymore. Maybe you just do phone calls, or maybe you just do phone calls and email, but you don't go out to dinner, right? Reassess your boundaries and then reassert them, right? If you notice that your boundaries have been pulled back or they've been too fluid and too flexible, firm it up, right? Straighten it up, draw a line in the sand. You're not going any further. Okay, that's the best way to do it. Don't prolong, don't send mixed messages. You can be friendly, but you need to put those boundaries in their rightful place. The next one is use opportunities to educate. When you use opportunities to educate, you are looking for a way to model positive behavior, good behavior. Individuals who are toxic and envious and jealous-hearted, they don't know how to behave and control their emotions. So the best tool is to look for opportunities throughout the day or wherever you are with them to model patience, model graciousness, model love and kindness and acceptance. I think that's powerful. And last but not least, remain true to yourself. The moment you allow that person to cause you to act a different way is the moment that they have gained power over you. All right, guys, thanks so much for being with me today. I encourage you to give this a thumbs up if it was helpful to you. Stay tuned for the next, because we're going to be talking about psychosis, and I think that's going to be important for us as well. And we will bring some of this into the discussion as well, so stay tuned for that. All right, guys, see you soon. Bye-bye.